Hey there folks, Kozzi here drafting for pick one, pack one with this Combrei Midrange deck, which is one of the better Combrei decks I think I've ever drafted. So good in fact that this was originally just going to be me messing around at home, and I wanted to record it for you guys even though we didn't get to see the draft, because I have the suspicion that this is going to be one of those quintessential Combrei decks. It's not necessarily the most phenomenal Combrei deck I've ever drafted, but I think it's a deck that gets to the essence of what Combrei wants to do. They want to be fat, they want to be overpowered for their cost rather, so they can hold up the board and then really capitalize on it. This is way too many power, unfortunately, even though we have the Combrei Healer, which is a great card for us, so we'll ship it back, and we will just pray that we draw some units so that I can use this good stuff on them. Okay, so our opponent drops a Primal Sigil, so likely in a slower deck unless there's some kind of fill and aggro deck. Skycrag, that's probably worrying for me as well. I just need to I just need to draw some units. That's all I need to do right now. If I could draw 4 units in a row. The one catch with these Combrei colors is I didn't get any card draw whatsoever, so I'm basically stuck at the whim of whatever my deck wants to put on top, and hoping that it's enough. The 3-1 had me nervous because it looked like it was an aggressive deck, but then playing a 1-4 makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. We're definitely not trading off here. That match is dead set obvious. And we're just going to pray that they don't have a torch, so that way I can hold up Finest Hour protection in the future. They could have Permafrost. The 1-4 attacking. Are they just trying me out? What could they have? There aren't a lot of pump spells in this color. They could have the +3, +1. For 1 damage, it's not worth me risking it. It's my only creature and I have insurance next turn. And because they have no power left, I'm actually happy to attack in. If they had the power to be able to use the torch, I'd be much more nervous. But I do need to be aware of tricks like that. So they're trying to catch me out with the torch. We'll take the 3 if that's all they're trying to do. Were they just attacking in, assuming I was going to block there? If they're not attacking with these, it suggests that they don't have a trick in hand. So if I cast my Relic Weapon, I can attack here, killing it. It'll be on 1. This will be a 10, so it can attack in. They'll be forced to make some slightly underwhelming attacks to try and get rid of my weapon, which I should be able to block 1 relatively comfortably. And as I said at the top, all I was doing was just praying I could draw a unit, and I'm glad to finally have a unit on board. Okay, that suggests that they have a trick of some description. I just don't want to risk him, whilst next turn I can keep him alive to whatever they do. If I take 6, I'm on 16, I go down to 10, which is relatively low, but I think that's a lot better for me than for me risking my Guardian. That's stop. They have something. They have something nasty indeed. The fact that my guy can get even bigger still. Yeah, they had to block there. And now I'm much happier blocking because I've been able to wait long enough to hold up my Finest Hour. If they block and they have a trick, it'll cause nightmares for me. So they have a torch, so I'm on a virtual 7, so I really need to get my skates on now. I could go to pump him up, make him an 11-11, but I think a 6-6 is big enough. Although by the same token, a 6-6, if they use the combat trick, could be a problem. Perhaps I could just cast my Order the Spire and the Power and wait a turn. That would be the safest play, except for the fact that I know that they have Burn. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I just don't want to lose this guy. And most of the direct face burn spells, other than Torch, they're uncommon or rare. So he's going to have to block the 11-11 with somebody. So they get 2 damage in, I'm on a virtual 5, and I'll be threatening lethal with 2 creatures. It's getting close. I'm definitely nervous being at that life total. Combat trick will do some extra damage, although they chose not to use it there. They got a second torch. Wow. 8 damage to the face. That's phenomenal. Considering our bad opening hand, I think we stabilized pretty well. And I think... yeah, so I knew that they had a torch. I didn't have the trick, but what would have happened if I would have attacked in? If I would have attacked in, turning my guy into an 8-8 and not as a creature, sorry, as 11-11, or if I would have just cast my guy and attacked, what would have happened? We have decent stuff, but I feel as though we can have a better hand than just 2 power. Evidently I was wrong. What would have happened if I would have attacked? He would have been a 6-6, they would have blocked, they would have burnt him, I would have had a creature who they could have burnt. And I would have had no creatures and been pretty much top decking to hope to draw a unit. So I think I was in trouble no matter what the scenario was there. And we're in trouble if we don't draw a green source soon. We're in acres of trouble if we don't draw a green source soon. The green source both turns on our finest hour, it also turns on our Desert Marshal, which nullifies his Karmic Guardian as a problem for us. Opponent's playing a pretty greedy power base. An exceptionally greedy power base, actually. And they're attacking, they're always going to attack so they can gain some life. Yeah, wow, look at that. Total rainbow colors of basic power units. unfortunately we can deal with these Crown Watch Pallies if we draw the blue for Winter. Can't do anything without power. I'm not interested in giving myself up a 2-for-1 there. Well, it gives us a 4-6, which is... No, it doesn't. We're one short. We're in real strife here. Which you always are when you get screwed. We've drawn 5 time sigils. And, you know, we have 18 power in the deck, 7 or 8 of which are time, and we've drawn the vast majority of them. What else do you do? And our opponent, with their exceptionally greedy power base, has gotten everything that they need. Have we seen the blue or the red? Yeah, we've seen the blue, we've seen the green. We're okay if we draw a Primal Sigil right now. That's pretty close to it. So we have an interesting choice of whether we want to get a Justice or a Primal Sigil. Justice Sigil allows us to pretty much play out everything else we have in our hand. Primal Sigil allows us to play our best card. Play the Sigil, but we can't afford to stun this turn, so I think we'd rather hold up the Finest Hours. So we can play a Desert Marshal, we can first of all silence the Copper Conduit so we can start to chump block it if we need to. Next turn we can do the same again. So if we wanted to, we could make that 6, 7. Assume that they don't have a combat trick. No, I think we'll wait. We need to start getting on the offensive, which the Gemblade helps us to do. If they have a piece of equipment, they would have used it ages ago, so they're relying on a top deck. Argument could have been made that I should have done it with a Bright Mace, taken a little bit more time. But they have a 7/7 who's causing me headaches. Makes me worried when they're that deep in the tank. And it looks like we finally slowed down their clock, which is great news. This is going to be super useful for us, which is an understatement. So I think we can play our Bright Mace, Desert Marshal on a future turn and start to attack in and get some damage. The Desert Marshal will be nice because we can silence the Karmic Guardian, drop it down, block it, and hold up Finest Hour for some protection. So what unit have you been holding? It's probably the... So next turn, I can kill that. I could pump up, kill that. Yeah, I think it's worth it. can leave him stranded with a 7/7. Afford to wait now. One of the advantages of being screwed versus flooded is all of their cards have effectively been used. Have been used up now on the power, so they could have had 5 extra creatures here. Instead, we have a whole hand that we're now waiting to work our way through. I'll hold one guy back, just to make sure I don't get in trouble. And so we've now got a whole hand of stuff that we're just waiting to be able to play. Don't want to keep it alive. No, the find sounds something useful over here. It represents lethal next turn. If I attack with everything, I'm doing 8, 11, 13 damage, so they have to block the 4/6. So I'm doing 7, 9 damage. Oh boy, I was worried I was going to go 0-2 straight away with this deck, but no. Able to hold on long enough for our striking snake formation to do precisely what we wanted it to do. Despite them having the Karmic Guardian, which was terrifying. This is a great hand. All I want to do is draw as much power as possible with this hand, and I won't complain about flooding out for a second. Are we up against the same guy? Were we up against Magic before? I think it is the same guy. Yeah, that needed to be done straight away. Things were going to get out of hand otherwise. What we'll do is we'll play the Pally first, then next turn we'll play the Order of Spy when we know that we can get off the pump. Especially because if they have one Static Bolt, there's a likelihood that they have several. Oh, Force a Habit almost made me make a huge mistake there. So one of their cards is another Ornamental Dagger. We actually have a lot of equipment, so I'm not interested in trading here. We'll just keep developing our board instead. And our opponent, unfortunately, has been screwed on power, which could help us close the door, because we know that they have a Lumen Shepherd in hand. Drawing a copy of the Lumen Shepherd for a blocker, or drawing a copy of something that you can cast in the next 2 turns? Okay. So yeah, the race is on. They're doing that so they can offer up a double block. Am I happy accepting a double block? I think I am, because it clears out their whole board. And then we can start attacking him with these guys. Here's effect like a 2.5 for 1. They had to use all of their ornamental daggers on that guy. Granted, it's one of my better creatures for something that's not amazing at theirs. We definitely don't want to silence that. Do we want to play a 2-1? I think we can afford to wait. He's quite useful. Yeah, they're just digging like crazy to try and get some power happening. No point attacking into death. And that card is certainly their draw for the turn. Okay, so this makes life interesting now. We can cast the Gemblade on the 3/3. That gives us a 6/6 that they could double block. We could cast the Gemblade here, which gives us a 4/8, which can keep attacking, or the Gemblade here, which gives us a 7/9. But we are putting all of our cookies in one basket. I think if we make a 6/6, if they double block, then it opens up the rest of our attackers, assuming they don't have anybody else that's big. I think the same thing happens here with the 7/9. Yeah, I think we go for just having a huge creature. Normally I like to diversify my threats. But in this state, we just need to break up this board a bit more. Especially as they could have something like a permafrost. Although I guess we then just silence the permafrost. So that's not the worst response that they could use against us. Happy to double block here. Am I happy to double block? No, I think we take 5 and then we just race. We're definitely winning the race currently. And we can go wide in a way that they really can't expect. So they're holding stuff up. Combat trick of some description. If we play our marshal now, we're doing what, 7, 8, so we're doing exactly lethal that we're representing. They need to deal with this as well as the rest of our board. Yeah, I think that's the way I'd like to do it. We get in trouble if they have the uncommon Death Touch bug, whatever it's called. But we still get a fair amount of damage in, put them in trouble. They're still going to have to chump block here, which is good news for us. And we're still waiting on seeing whatever this Warcry is added to. Only problem is if they get one more power, they can drop the 4/6, which does slow us down a fair amount. But if we get something like an Inspired Hour, of which we have 4, so, you know, decent odds of that happening. That's just enough to double block and put me off. If they double block though, these will get in. So if I attack with everybody, they'll probably block there, hang on. Block there, block there, block there. They take 1, and I lose everybody, so it's not a great attack. I think we just keep building and wait for us to get our assault formation or anything like that. And now we go. So long as they leave 1 creature open, we're fine. And I can't imagine them dealing with 2. So as these blocks currently stand... Oh, that's fantastic that they blinked first. It's one of those, I wish that the game could be a little bit more explicit about how the... In Magic we call it the stack, but it's basically the order of effects resolve, about who has to pass first and whatnot. Like there I'll still think, if this was Magic, I would have had to have acted first and either done what I wanted to do or passed what's known as priority, so my opponent could have a chance to respond. But what happened there was, whilst I was still thinking, they did what they needed to do, and it just totally opened up that combat for me and made life easy. There's a little bit of a shame in that regard. It would be nice to get a bit more clarity about how that actually all works. I think our plan is to play the Stranger, then the following turn play the Student with the Sigil to grow it up as fast as possible. And also hold up Finest Hour, I guess, for things like Suffocate. And go from there. But yeah, it makes it quite ambiguous, and I wish there was some form of clarification to make it a little bit easier to work out what was going on. If they're holding a power up, it could either be the quick draw effect, or it could be the what you call it, levitate. Both of those, I'll get a trade that I'm happy with these cards, and ideally get rid of a powerful and menacing creature. And all I really want to do from here on out is draw power. So I could silence it, then all they've got is a 2/2. Stops them from ripping my board apart, so I think that makes sense. If they want to trade off here, then I'm happy to do so. I'd rather save my Finest Hour for dealing with bigger and more menacing threats. This isn't power, which is a shame. Because that's what I really need right now. good creature for carrying a Beast Caller's Amulet, I'll say that much. Do we just go to the skies? I think we just... Well, they still have power up right now, which is important to remember. I think we just keep our clock on and we diversify our threats. Yeah, they've definitely got to stop there. That way both of these can trade off with the beast in the next turn with my finest hour. Ooh, that hurts. Although we finally get the power that we've been able to. We can get back to usual programming soon. Yeah, this is going to kill us if we don't draw something useful. That definitely counts because we can now thread and lethal on the swing back. So they have us on a 3-turn clock, which I'm okay with. Do we want to try and kill it? Do we want to try and kill it? I think we do. That way, whatever they play next turn, we can play Eye of Winter and stun. We basically put him on kill us now, or you'll be dead. Oh boy, that was tight. That was very, very tight. But we managed to get through being very power screwed against a very neat combination of cards. And I played one too many rounds. I've been getting way too wrapped up in this. And I probably also haven't been going through the wins. There you go. Well, you guys got a bonus one for this round. Sorry about that. As I said, early morning, I'm just having a bit of fun. Not quite paying attention. I'm not quite in my broadcast mode of thinking through the commentary and all of that. But it's been a sweet deck, and I think you've had an opportunity to see how it wants to perform. We've seen the Striking Strike, whatever it's called. We've seen that win a game. We've seen the Eye of Winter do work for me. We've seen basically boards get stalled and combat tricks help us to survive. I've enjoyed it so far, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it too. So much so that you'll hopefully join me for matches 5 to 8 because I can't count up to 3. I've been Kozzi drafting for Pick 1 Pack 1, and I'll see you guys in just a moment.